I'm sitting in my car outside the client office, engine off, phone in my hand, and I'm seriously considering sending a WhatsApp message that says, I'm sorry, something came up, can we reschedule? This was a project worth 4 million Naira, roughly $3,500 for my people outside Nigeria, $3,500. And I was sitting in my car, sweating, about to bail, not because I didn't need the money, not because I don't have such amount, not because I didn't want the project, but because a voice inside my head was saying, El Dorado, who do you think you are in this AI automation space? If it was for crypto meeting, you can walk in there with your eye closed, but you're going to walk into that office and they're going to find out. They're going to find out that you're not as good as they think you are on LinkedIn or X. That voice almost cost me 4 million Naira. And today, I'm going to tell you exactly what happened, what I did, and how you can shut that same voice up when it shows up for you. Because it will show up, I promise you. It will show up. Stay with me. Yo, what's good, family? Welcome back to Hustle and Hash. I'm your boy El Dorado, and we are back for June. First, real quick, thank you for the messages after last month's episode. The DMs, the WhatsApp forwards, people saying they fired bad clients, people saying they raised their prices, people saying they stopped undercharging. That made my whole month, honestly. That's why we do this. Now, if you're new here, welcome. And if you've been here since January when Maya and Jordan started this whole 90-day journey series, you know the progression. We started with finding yourself and learning skills. We talked about getting paid for those skills. We talked about bad clients and wrong mindsets. And now we're here. Because here's what happens when you start doing all of that right. When you start charging properly, when you start getting good clients, when opportunities start coming your way, your brain panics. Yeah, the same brain that was crying, nobody is hiring me. The moment good things start happening, that same brain starts saying, wait, are you sure about this? Are you really qualified? What if they find out? That's what we're talking about today, the fraud feeling. The technical name is Imposter syndrome, but I don't like that name because it sounds like a hospital diagnosis. I prefer calling it the fraud feeling because that's exactly what it is. It's that feeling that you're a fraud, that you're pretending, that any minute now, somebody's going to tap you on the shoulder and say, we've been watching you, you're not who you say you are. And I need you to hear what I'm about to say very clearly. Every single person who has ever built something meaningful has felt this. Doctors feel it, engineers feel it, CEOs feel it, Grammy-winning musicians feel it. And your boy, El Dorado, sitting here recording this podcast, has felt it, still feels it sometimes. The difference between the people who win and the people who don't is not that winners don't feel the fraud feeling, it's that they walk through the door anyway. Let me tell you about my door. It's a Tuesday afternoon, April. I remember because the heat was still doing its thing in Abuja. The kind of heat that makes you want to stay under the shower all day without moving away. I got a message on LinkedIn. A company, professional looking profile. They say they found me through a post I made about an automation system I built. They want to discuss a project. Can I get on a call? Normal reaction should be excitement, right? Big company, LinkedIn, professional. This is exactly what I've been building towards. But my first reaction was suspicion. Very Nigerian of me. I'm thinking, is this real? Is this one of those we have a job offer for you scams? Let me check their page first. 238 followers, real website, real office address, LinkedIn verified. Okay, it's real. Now the panic starts. We get on the call. 3 people on their side, a founder, a COO, and someone they introduced as their head of operations. 3 people for a first call. I'm on my laptop trying to look calm. Inside, no be so. ID hot. They explain the project. They need a full automation system for their HR and client management pipeline, something that handles their entire workflow from lead intake to invoicing to client onboarding to reporting. Complex, multi-step, exactly the kind of thing I've been building. And then the founder asked me, he says, we've seen your work, were impressed. What's your timeline and investment for something like this? Investment. That's what he called it. Not cost, investment. I noted that. I gave them a number, 4 million Naira, equivalent to dollar rate, broken into phases with milestones and deliverables. I had rehearsed this. I knew my numbers. They didn't flinch. The CEO actually nodded and said, "That's within our budget. We'd like to move forward. Can you come in Thursday for a technical walkthrough with our team?" I know what you're thinking. Yes, is Nigeria here? Abuja, to be precise. After the call, I closed my laptop and just sat there. And that's when the voice started. Technical walkthrough with their team, El Dorado. What if they ask you something you don't know? What if their tech person is more experienced than you and starts asking advanced questions and you're standing there looking like you Googled everything this morning? I had Googled some things that morning. Tuesday, Wednesday. I spent both days preparing, reading, practicing, running through possible questions in my head, watching videos, testing things. By Wednesday night, I had barely slept. Thursday morning, I'm dressed, looking sharp, because if nothing else, I will look the part. I drive to their office. It's one of those addresses in the nice part of town, glass building, uniform security. The kind of place that makes you feel underdressed even when you're not. I park my car and I don't get out. I just sit there, car off, AC off, and the voice is going full volume now. You're not ready for this. This is too big. These people are serious professionals. They're going to ask you something you can't answer and you look stupid and you lose the project and they'll tell people and your reputation will be finished before it even starts. I pick up my phone. I open WhatsApp. I start typing to the founder. Something came up. I deleted it. Not because the fear went away. The fear was still very much there. But something else was louder than the fear for just that 1 second. And that something said, what if you walk in and it works? Just that. What if you walk in and it works? I put my phone in my pocket. I got out of the car. I straightened my shirt, took a breath, and I walked through that door. The receptionist smiles, takes my name, asks me to wait. I sit down. I'm calm on the outside. Inside, I'm doing calculus. I didn't even study in school. They come to get me. Conference room. 6 people now. 6. The 3 from the call, plus 3 technical people. One of them has a laptop open already. Specifications on the screen. They introduce me. The founder says, "This is El Dorado Daniel. He's going to be building our automation system. Going to be building, present tense, like it's already decided." And something shifted in me right there. Because the way he said it, the confidence in his voice when he said my name in that room, he believed I could do this more than I believed I could do this. The technical walkthrough starts. They ask questions. Some I know immediately, some I pause on. One question, their tech lead asked me something specific about a particular integration, and I didn't know the exact answer off the top of my head. And here's what I didn't do. I didn't panic. I didn't fake an answer. I said, "That's a great question. I want to give you an accurate answer rather than a fast one. Let me test that specific integration and come back to you with documentation by end of day." You know what the tech lead said? He said, "I respect that. Most vendors just guess. Most vendors just guess." 2 hours later, the meeting ends. The founder walks me out. At the door, he says, "We'll have the 50% advance in your account by Friday. We're excited to work with you." Friday, the alert came. 2 million Naira. Sitting in my account at 11:47 a.m. on a Friday. I screamed in my car, by myself, full volume. Like my team just won the Champions League. No shame. None at all. Now, I told you that story not to impress you. I told you that story because I know that some of you listening right now are sitting in your own car. Maybe your car is a LinkedIn draft you've written and rewritten 11 times and still haven't posted. Maybe your car is a client who reached out and you've been thinking about how to reply for 3 days. Maybe your car is the price you want to charge, but you keep reducing it before you send the quote because you're afraid they'll say it's too much. That's your car. And that voice telling you to drive away, that's what we're dealing with today. Turns out, what I felt in that car park has a name. Psychologists call it imposter syndrome. It was first identified in 1978 by two researchers, Pauline Clance and Suzanne Imes. They studied high-achieving women who, despite all evidence of their success, were convinced they were frauds waiting to be exposed. But here's the thing they discovered later. It's not just women. It's not just certain professions. Studies show that up to 70% of people experience imposter syndrome at some point in their lives. 7 out of 10 people. Your boss probably feels it. Your mentor probably feels it. That person on Instagram posting results every week probably feels it. And here's the part that will either comfort you or confuse you. The more successful you become, the stronger the fraud feeling gets. Because now the stakes are higher. Now people are watching, now you have a reputation to protect. When you were broke and unknown, nobody was paying attention. You could fail quietly. But now people are recommending you. Now companies are putting your name in boardrooms. Now the pressure is real. So if you're feeling the fraud, feeling more now than before, that's actually a sign you're growing. Congratulations. I know, doesn't feel like congratulations. But stay with me. Let me tell you the 5 things the fraud voice says, because I want you to recognize it the next time it shows up, and I want you to have a ready answer for each one. Voice number 1. Someone will find out you don't know everything. This one is the classic. The fear that in the middle of a client meeting, somebody is going to ask you something you don't know, and the whole thing will collapse like a house of cards. I already told you what happened when their tech lead asked me that question. I didn't know. I said I didn't know. And that made them trust me more. Here's the truth that this voice doesn't want you to know. Clients don't hire you to know everything. They hire you to solve their problem. There's a difference. A doctor doesn't know every disease in existence. But when you walk into their office with a problem, they diagnose, they research if needed, they consult colleagues if needed, and they solve your problem. That's what makes them a doctor. Not omniscience. You are a problem solver, not an encyclopedia. The moment you accept that, voice number 1 loses its power. Voice number 2. I haven't done this enough times to charge this much. This one is very popular in Nigeria. Very popular. Because we have this belief that experience is only measured in years and repetitions. Let me ask you something. If someone has been making the same mistake at their job for 10 years, do they have 10 years of experience? Or do they have 1 year of experience repeated 10 times? Experience is not just about time. It's about depth. It's about how much you've invested in understanding your craft. I spent months learning, building, failing, rebuilding, testing, improving. I documented everything. I studied other people's work. I invested in courses. I stayed up learning when I should have been sleeping. Is that not experience? The client who paid me 4 million Naira didn't ask how many years I've been doing this. They looked at the work. They saw the quality. They felt the confidence. And they said yes. Stop letting your years in the game define your value. Let your work define your value. Voice number 3. They could just find someone better than you. Okay, they could. Technically, in theory, somewhere in the universe, there is probably someone more skilled than you at your particular thing. So what? The client chose you. Out of everyone they could have called, they called you. Out of all the portfolios they could have reviewed, they reviewed yours. And often, better is not even the right word. Because better is subjective. What clients are really looking for is not the best person in the world. They're looking for the right person for their situation. Someone they trust. Someone who communicates clearly. Someone who understands their problem. I have won projects against people with more experience than me. Why? Because they couldn't explain what they were building in plain English. Because they were difficult to communicate with. Because the client felt talked down to. Your communication, your clarity, your personality, these are competitive advantages. They're not on any CV, but they win projects every day. Voice number 4. You got lucky last time. It won't happen again. This one comes after your first win. You delivered a great project, client was happy, you got paid. And instead of celebrating properly, your brain says, that was a fluke, you were lucky. Don't get comfortable. After that 8 million Naira project was done, I remember genuinely wondering, Was that a one-time thing? What if the next client isn't as understanding? But then the next project came and I delivered, and the next, and the next. And at some point you have to look at the pattern and say, this is not luck. This is what I do. Luck is when preparation meets opportunity. I was prepared, the opportunity came. That's not luck. That's the system working. Own your wins. They are not accidents. Voice number 5, and this is the most dangerous one. I'm not qualified enough yet. The waiting trap. I know people who have been not ready for 3 years. They take one course, finish it, and think, I need one more before I start charging. They take that one, and then maybe I need a certificate. Maybe I need to build 3 more portfolio pieces. Maybe I should wait until I have a website. Maybe I should wait until I have a better laptop. Nobody is going to come to your house and hand you a certificate that says qualified enough. That certificate does not exist. It has never existed. The people charging money for their skills right now are not charging because they got that certificate. They're charging because they decided to. You decide when you're ready. Not a course, not a year of experience, not a specific number of portfolio pieces. You decide. And the beautiful irony is this. The fastest way to become more qualified is to take the project, deliver it, and learn in the process. You will learn more from one real project than from 6 practice exercises. So the waiting is not making you more ready. It's just making you older and more broke. Sorry, that was blunt. But I need you to hear it. Can I tell you something I've never really talked about publicly? When I was learning AI automation, I had a very specific fear. I kept thinking, who am I to be doing this? I didn't go to school for computer science. I didn't study engineering. My background is in crypto trading. I learned this from YouTube videos, documentation, forums, late nights, and a lot of trial and error. So when I started getting clients, the first thing they always ask is, where did you study? What's your background? And for a long time, I would get uncomfortable answering that because I thought they would judge me for not having a degree in the field. But here's what I learned. Clients don't care about your background. They care about your results. And self-taught people actually have a competitive advantage that school-taught people sometimes don't have. We are resourceful. We are used to figuring things out without someone holding our hand. We are used to failing and starting over without a teacher to blame. We have proven that we can learn hard things on our own. That is a skill, a very valuable skill. And I want to speak directly to my Nigerian people for a second. Our education system was designed to produce employees, not entrepreneurs. From primary school, we were taught that there is one right answer. The teacher has the answer. You copy the answer. You reproduce the answer in exams. If you deviate, you are wrong. So when we enter the real world, where there are multiple solutions to every problem, where your value is not in copying answers, but in creating them, we freeze. Because we were never trained for this. We were also never praised for trying. We were praised for succeeding. If you fail an exam, nobody says, well done for trying, let's learn from this. They say, you failed, try harder next time. So we developed a deep fear of being seen failing, which means we avoid trying anything we're not already sure we'll succeed at. And then social media arrived and made it worse. Because now you can compare yourself not just to the people in your class or your street, you can compare yourself to every single person in the world, every second of every day. Everyone posting their highlight reel, everyone showing you their wins and hiding their losses. And you're sitting there looking at your beginning and comparing it to someone's middle, comparing your chapter 1 to their chapter 20, and wondering why your story doesn't look like theirs yet. My friend, they didn't start at chapter 20, they started at chapter 1. Just like you, you're just not reading their full book. You walked into the bookshop and opened it at chapter 20 and thought that's where the story starts. I promise you, their chapter 1 looked a lot like yours. Now let me talk about something that particularly irritates me. And if this steps on toes, good. It means it needed to be said. The suffering equals success lie. Nigerian hustle culture has created this very dangerous belief that if you are not suffering, you are not working hard enough. No pain, no gain. You have to pay your dues. Sleep is for the dead. Real hustlers don't rest. And I want to challenge every single one of those statements. Because what that culture produces is not success. It produces burnout. It produces people who are busy but not productive. People who are working hard in the wrong direction and refusing to stop and assess because stopping feels like quitting. I know someone, I won't mention names. This person worked 12 hours per day for 8 months straight. No weekends, no rest, pure hustle mentality. At the end of those 8 months, they were sick, physically sick. They had made decent money, but they had also missed their child's first steps, missed family events, lost friendships, and they crashed so hard they couldn't work for 2 months after. Was that success? The people I know who are genuinely thriving, not just posting about thriving, actually thriving. They work smart, they have systems, they take breaks, they sleep, they exercise, they invest in their mental health. They know when to say no. They're not doing more hours than you, they're doing better hours than you. A fully rested brain working for 6 hours will outperform an exhausted brain working for 12 hours every single time. The science is not even controversial on this. So rest is not a reward for finishing your work. Rest is part of the work. Stop glorifying suffering. Build something sustainable instead. Now let me talk about something that connects all of this together. The difference between abundance thinking and scarcity thinking. Because this one thing will change how you operate if you really internalize it. Scarcity thinking sounds like this. There's not enough clients for everyone. If they hire someone else, I lose. I need to take every opportunity, even the bad ones, because what if nothing else comes? I better charge less, because if I charge too much, they'll go to someone cheaper. I can't refer work to other freelancers because then they'll take my clients. Does any of that sound familiar? Abundance thinking sounds like this. There are more clients out there than all the freelancers in Nigeria can handle combined. If this one doesn't work out, another one is coming. I can afford to walk away from bad clients because good clients are on their way. I can charge what I'm worth because the right clients will see the value. I can refer work to other freelancers because the market is big enough for all of us. When you believe the world doesn't have enough, you make desperate decisions. You accept low pay. You tolerate bad clients. You compete on price instead of value. And you attract exactly the kinds of situations that confirm your scarcity belief. It becomes a cycle. But when you believe there is enough, when you show up like someone who knows their value, when you say, I charge 4 million Naira without your voice cracking, when you walk away from a bad client without panic because you trust another one is coming, the energy shifts, the decision shifts, the outcome shifts. And here's what's interesting. A lot of our scarcity thinking didn't start with us. It started in our homes. Think about how your parents talked about money when you were growing up. If every conversation about money in your house was tense, if we don't have money was the most common sentence. If wanting things meant you were selfish or ungrateful, if rich people in your neighborhood were always talked about with suspicion, where did they get that money? What did they do to get it? Nobody gets rich, honestly. If any of that sounds like your childhood, you absorb those beliefs. As a little child, you had no filter, no way to question what the adults around you were saying. So those beliefs went in and became part of how you see the world. And now you're grown. You're trying to build a business. You're trying to charge what you're worth. And there's this invisible ceiling you keep hitting. Not because you're not talented enough, not because the market isn't there, but because somewhere in your subconscious, a voice that sounds like your father or your mother or your auntie is saying, who told you that you deserve this kind of money? That's not your voice. That's not your belief. That's a borrowed belief that you need to return. Because here's the truth. It is okay to want money. It is okay to want a lot of money. You can be a good person and want financial abundance. You can love God and want financial abundance. You can have values and want financial abundance. Money is not evil. The love of money, above all else, causes problems. But money itself, money is a tool, and tools are only as good or as bad as the person using them. You, with money, can take care of your family, pay for your parents' medication, give your children the education you maybe didn't have, support causes you believe in, build the life you actually want. That is not greed. That is purpose. Okay, so we've diagnosed the problem. Now let me give you what actually works when the fraud feeling shows up. These are not generic tips from a motivational book. These are things I actually use that actually work. Number one, the evidence file. Right now, today, create a folder on your phone. Name it something that will make you smile when you open it. I called mine the receipts. In that folder, save everything. Screenshots of clients saying thank you, screenshots of payment alerts, screenshots of people saying your work helped them, voice notes of positive feedback, email screenshots, WhatsApp messages, all of it. Because here's the thing about the fraud feeling. It is a feeling, and feelings can lie to you, but evidence doesn't lie. When the voice shows up and says, you're not good enough, you open the receipt and you look at the evidence. Evidence beats feelings every time. Number two, the so what method. When the fraud voice says something, instead of arguing with it or trying to silence it, you just answer it with, so what? Someone might find out I don't know everything. So what? Neither does anyone else. I haven't done this 100 times. So what? I've done it and I can do it again. What if I make a mistake? So what? I'll fix it and learn from it like every other professional. The fraud voice is very dramatic. It presents everything like it's the end of the world. The so what method deflates the drama. It reminds you that most of the things you're afraid of are survivable. Even the worst case scenario. Even if you mess up, even if a client is unhappy, you will survive it and you will come back better. Number three, borrow confidence until yours shows up. Find one person, just one. Someone who sees your potential clearly. Someone who believes in you without conditions. A friend, a sibling, a mentor. And when the fraud feeling is loudest, go to that person. Not to hear empty encouragement, but to be reminded of specific things. Remember when you built that thing from scratch in 3 days? Remember when that client called you back for a second project? Remember when you figured out that problem nobody else could solve? Specific reminders of specific wins. That's what you're borrowing. Their memory of you at your best until your memory of yourself catches up. Number four, do it scared. This is the most important one, so I want you to really hear it. The confidence does not come first. The action comes first. The confidence comes after the action. We have it backwards. We think we need to feel confident before we take the step. But confidence is not a prerequisite for action. Confidence is a reward for action. You get it after you do the thing, not before. I was not confident sitting in that car park. I was terrified. But I walked through the door anyway. And when I walked out of that meeting 2 hours later, when the founder shook my hand and said they were looking forward to working with me, when that 2 million Naira alert landed on Friday morning, that is when the confidence came. Not before, after. So if you're waiting to feel confident before you post that content, pitch that client, quote that price, you will be waiting for a very long time. Do it scared. The confidence will meet you on the other side. Number five, reframe I'm not ready to I'm learning live. Every expert in the world right now is learning live. The doctor treating you is still learning. The engineer designing the bridge is still learning. The lawyer writing your contract is still learning. You don't stop learning when you start charging. That's not how expertise works. You learn and you earn simultaneously, forever. So the next time your brain says, I'm not ready, replace it with, I'm learning live, and I'm charging for what I know while I continue learning. Because that is the truth. That is what every professional in every field in the world is doing, including the ones you admire. They are learning live. They're just not announcing it. Let me take you back to the car park. I'm sitting there, phone in hand, about to type, something came up. And one thought changed everything. What if you walk in and it works? That's it. Not a long speech, not a whole pep talk. Just one question. What if it works? Not what if it goes perfectly, because nothing goes perfectly. Not what if they love everything you say, because they might have hard questions. Just what if it works? I walked in, it worked. Not because I was the most skilled person they could have hired, not because I had the most experience, not because I knew every answer, but because I showed up, because I communicated clearly, because when I didn't know something, I said so honestly, because I delivered what I promised. because I cared about their problem more than I cared about looking impressive. That 4 million Naira project, roughly $3,500 for my international family listening, it paid for things I needed. It built my confidence for the next project. It gave me a reference I could point to. It proved to me that the thing I'd been learning was not just a skill in theory, it was a skill in practice. A skill that solved real problems for real companies. All of that from walking through one door. And I almost didn't walk through it. So I need to ask you something before we close, and I want you to take this seriously. What door are you sitting outside of right now? What opportunity have you been holding back from? What client haven't you followed up with? What price haven't you quoted because you're afraid of the reaction? What content haven't you posted because you're afraid of the comments? That is your car park. And the fraud feeling is telling you to drive away. Don't drive away. Because on the other side of that door is the version of you that you've been building towards all these months. The version that got skills, that learned how to charge, that walked away from bad clients, that fixed the mindset, that stopped chasing and started attracting. All of that work, all of those months, all of those sacrifices, they all lead to this moment, this door. Walk through it. All right, family. Before I let you go, 3 homework assignments. Number 1, create your evidence file this weekend. Whatever you want to call it. The receipts, my wins, proof of life, whatever makes you smile. Fill it with every positive thing any client or colleague or friend has ever said about your work. Screenshots, voice notes, emails, all of it. Number 2, write down the door you've been sitting outside. Be specific. Not, I need to be more confident. What is the specific thing you've been avoiding because of the fraud feeling? Write it down. And write down one action you will take this week to move towards it. Number 3, say this out loud right now. I'm serious. Say it out loud even if you're in public and people are looking at you. I am qualified enough to start. I will learn the rest while I earn. Say it until your brain starts to believe it. Next month, we're going deeper into the money conversation. We're talking about financial management for freelancers. Because making money and keeping money are 2 completely different skills. And a lot of people are making good money but have nothing to show for it. We're going to fix that in July. If today's episode helped you, share it with one person, just one. Someone who needs to hear that it's okay to feel like a fraud and do it anyway. Let me know your door. Let me know if you walk through it. I'm Eldorado Daniel, and I'll see you next month. Now go walk through your door.